morning. It's just a little after 5. The sun hasn't come up yet. The water is absolutely glass. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a coffee and hit the water. And I'll do breakfast when I get to the portage trail. And here we are, about an hour later, 6:08, just hitting the water. Still looking smooth. The sun is just starting to peek over the hills. So it looks like I made the right choice yesterday. I crossed the western narrows and headed over to the eastern shore of the lake. And here I am on a calm, relaxed Opeongo north. I suppose the weather would have been the same if I'd stayed on the west side. But then I'd have a much bigger distance to paddle. I'd be looking straight into the sun the whole time. Good morning. We're about halfway to the portage, halfway to breakfast. I just paddled the full length of Opeongo solo. If I had a bucket list, I think that would be on it. So there it is. Opeongo North and South. I just added up all the times that I spent paddling on the lake, and it was a total of 8 hours. 4 hours to get to where I stopped for supper, another 3 hours to get to my campsite last night, and then an hour here this morning. Of course, this morning almost feels like I cheated. Not really, though. It feels more like I earned it. So I noticed something yesterday when I went to Portage's Canoe a short distance, and then just now I picked up, is that it's really heavy on this end of the canoe. So I got to thinking, I bet there's water in that bulkhead. Sure enough, there it is. Quite a bit of it too. So we'll just let that drain while I have breakfast. Eggs are done. Bacon's coming along nicely. I think I'll just start on the eggs. Well, that was an eventful portage. I brought my pack the whole way down the portage. I even portaged around a little pond, but it was quite steep and rocky, and I said, well, when I bring the canoe through, I'll canoe the pond. And when I did, I went to step in the canoe, and it rotated out from underneath me, and down I went. And I was laying in probably 2 feet of water, like a deep bathtub, but I was pretty well full body submerged. And got out. Of course, my feet were frozen immediately as soon as I hit the water. But the rest of me didn't feel a thing. Nothing. Even now, on my wetsuit here, the outside is a little wet, but I don't feel wet inside at all. I'm wearing a base layer, and I thought that, oh well, that base layer is soaked now for the trip. But as far as I can tell, it's not. And I'm pretty glad that I had the suit on. And then when I cross the pond, I go to get out, and I meet two guys, two fellow Algonquin adventurers. I believe their names were Mike and Rob. I'm not 100%. And they recognized me right away. And so we chatted and visited for a while. And now finally I'm here and just going to have a snack before heading into Pro, or Prue, depending how you pronounce it. I just turned the corner on Prue Lake, and I'm headed north now. And soon I'll be into the Crow River, which is all nice and protected by a fjord. And I'll stop somewhere along the way and have some lunch. And here we are heading into the Crow River. Pro Lake is done. Nothing really remarkable about Pro Lake. I mean, it's a pretty lake. But it's a big lake, and there was a big wind coming out of that valley. Let's see what Crow River has in store. Well, this is interesting. I can't clearly see where I should go. Oh, that might be it right there. Yeah, okay, that's it. Looks like I got a bit of a current too. Yeah, a little bit. This might be a nice tour. I hope the wind behaves. That there is the portage coming from Red Rock Lake. 3 kilometers. Little crow is having a little tantrum today. I think I need to find me a campsite. Okay, well here I am at my campsite for the night. I did get the site that I wanted. It's near the ranger cabin on Big Crow, and of course I have all my stuff laid out everywhere, so of course I'm making myself at home. I've rigged up a clothesline here, and one of the ways to do a clothesline is you put 2 bands of line together, and then what you do is you pry them apart and shove whatever it is you want inside. Drying off Jeff map here. Alright, like so. Even my shoes are hanging. And over here I have my hammock with the underquilt all tied on. And put together just a little bit of a windbreak against it, because the wind is coming out of that direction. There's a little bit of cover from trees, but not a whole lot. And that's about it. Food bag rope is hung down there somewhere. And I'm going to get started making some supper. It's steak night. There it is, steak done on an open fire. And served on a rock because I wasn't smart enough to bring a plate. I washed the rock off and put it in the fire for a little bit. The rock is also warmed. And a box of stovetop stuffing. Them's good eating. I just got to talk about the steak a little bit more because it is so good. When I prepared the steak at home, I wrapped a jade cloth soaked in vinegar around the steak and sealed that up in a bag, in order to keep it fresh so I wouldn't have to freeze it. And essentially what I've done is I've marinated the steak for close to 48 hours in apple cider vinegar, and it is really good. I cooked it on the fire, and I put it on the flame for about 30 seconds aside just to seal in the juices, which is a nice way of saying cauterize it. And then I extinguished I shifted things around. I shifted things around inside the fire pit to quell all the flames, and then just slow cooked it over the coals for about 5 minutes each side, and it is absolutely wonderful. I haven't even touched my stovetop stuffing yet, and I'm not going to until that's gone.